Today is April 14th, 2021. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. Let's go down our release status. I think this CSI proxy image build issue is still an issue. I'm working with Jing to figure out who is the right owner to investigate this further. Moving on to 121, we are in the middle of releasing our sidecars. Let's start with our feature status first. One is volume snapshots.
Yeah, so I think we're not going to wait for the patch thing. Basically right now we're just updating the Go mod. Yeah, so I have someone in my team working on that, so I haven't seen a PR
Okay.
yet, but yeah, should.
Were there any other changes? Were there any other changes
Very
like
small
bug fixes?
There are very small, yeah, there were a couple bug fixes and there's not made anything major. But do we need to make this a minor release because of this update, Kubernetes version update?
Probably, just to be safe.
Yeah, fine, yeah. So there's not, yeah, I actually have a change log. You can take a look. That does not include the, that is before the Go mod change, so it does not have the dependencies updated. But you can take a look and see, take a look of that and see. But I think, yeah, let's just make it a minor, then that should be fine. There's really not too many changes in there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Next is volume populators.
Yeah, so we had a meeting yesterday where we talked about a few things that I wanted to bring up here today. One of them is about we were making some updates to the generated code for the new CRD introduced by volume populators, and there's this big question about whether we should be using controller gen from CubeBuilder or the code generator from Kubernetes. We're trying to get closer to what CubeBuilder does, but CubeBuilder apparently doesn't generate typed clients or informers or listers. I think, based on my understanding, I could be wrong, CubeBuilder uses dynamic clients and dynamic listers and informers. And the only code that it generates is the deep copy routines and the YAML for the CRDs, and everything else is dynamic. So I have updated the volume populators code to work that way. So it has zero reliance on cates.io/code generator and only uses controller gen from CubeBuilder to generate the things that need generating, which simplifies the process of doing updates a lot because you remove a whole dependency. But it does make things look a little more weird because you're using the dynamic client everywhere in the code instead of a typed client. So we probably need to.
For CubeBuilder, are you also using the whole like controller reconciler that's provided?
No. So I considered going farther down in the CubeBuilder route and like letting it build the whole webhook. But no, I already have a working webhook, and I'm just using the part that generates the YAML and the deep copy routines. That's the only part of CubeBuilder that I'm leveraging.
Yeah, how that is different from, it's not using the type. You say it's just using the dynamic client, not using the types.
Yeah, so
I thought you were going to do the whole thing.
So for things like snapshots, we build a typed client.
That's lister type. Snapshot we didn't really use the
Right.
But I thought the controller gen underneath still use code generator. Is it not? Underneath, I think it uses it. That's my understanding.
So I'm actually I'm working on another project that uses CubeBuilder, and if I remember correctly, we actually had typed clients.
Really?
But we were just using like stock CubeBuilder. But we didn't like, the project I was working on, it wasn't creating its own informers or controllers or anything like that. It was using like all of the CubeBuilder like controller generation stuff.
Oh, well, yeah.
And all of that.
using a dynamic client, you can still get typed objects out of it. You just have there's a conversion layer that has to happen, and that's all built into Kubernetes, and that works fine.
I need to double check, but maybe we can follow up offline. But I actually remember even in my own controller being able to do like a typed get call.
Yeah.
From
You can do typed get calls, but I think underneath it uses the dynamic client to perform that request. It doesn't
You
use
actually have to do
a bunch
like
of generated
an
code.
extra conversion to convert to typed.
That's my understanding,
Okay.
but I have.
Sorry, like I just remember in my controller logic, like I didn't have to actually convert.
Oh, you are saying it's
anything.
actually it's almost just like a regular
Yeah.
controller.
I think CubeBuilder, if you generate everything, it generates the additional conversion layers for you. What I'm saying is like it doesn't. If you use kates.io/code generator, it actually generates like an entirely typed client that is standalone and doesn't layer on top of the dynamic client. And I think that the downside to that is if you have like a dozen or so types, it ends up being a lot of code with all this generated code that you generate entirely separate clients for every type of object. And the dynamic client is just one copy of that.
It's basically
code.
just convert dynamically for you.
So
It doesn't really, you don't have all of those client, like those files later on.
Right. That's my understanding. Yeah, is that what CubeBuilder gives you is conversion routines on top of the dynamic client. So everything still appears to be typed, but with way less generated code underneath.
Okay.
Because the generated code is just that veneer for the converting from the dynamic back and forth.
So what, I mean, if you are using CubeBuilder control, why not just go all the way? Because I thought the benefit of using CubeBuilder is you can, a lot of things, you know, it's very easy. You can just.
It is possible though that we can take the data source validator and make it way more CubeBuilder friendly. That's just an exercise for me to go through. The whole point of why I'm bringing this up is initially in our discussion yesterday, the problem was the version of the code generator. When we updated to a new version, it caused a bunch of problems, and this change completely removes that dependency. So removing dependencies is good. If it's not buying us anything, getting rid of it simplifies how the client is built. And if I can get rid of more stuff and use CubeBuilder even more, that would be even better. But I just wanted to sort of bring that up.
I actually didn't really get any problems myself. I mean, if so, right? Okay. So maybe this is actually another point I was going to ask, talk to Michelle, but I actually forgot to mention that. So that we are updating we're talking about updating everything to 1.21, right? So, but since we also have this client module in the in external snapshotter, right? I mean, I can update the Go mod in there to 21. That's not a problem. The weird things, of course, is this the code generating part, right? We have this controller gen. Right now we're using 0.4. I think that only supports 1.19. So it's kind of a little bit weird, although I can build, right? But it's a little weird that like, okay, you say when you generate the code, you use 1.19, but then when you build it, you're actually using 1.21. So it's a little weird. And then the latest version, 0.5 version of controller gen, they just updated to support 1.20. It's not even 1.21 yet. So my plan right now is just to keep the client part at 1.19, only updated the remaining, the controller part to 1.21. So that's my plan, because otherwise it just looks a little weird. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's okay. Like for the most part, we only need we really need the dependency if say there's like a security fix or like some new API or something that we need. So I think this is fine.
Okay. Yeah. So Ben, maybe you want to continue, because that was initially what we were looking at, this disconnect between this whatever supported by controller gen and then whatever is latest released version.
And I think we want the populator stuff to be a good example going forward for other CRDs. So I want to make sure I do it right, so that the next guy to add something with some new CRD has a different model to follow. Because I was following the snapshotter, which was done before all of this existed, and so it's based on some pretty old designs. And we're trying to get it updated.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up was release tools. Do we have Patrick on the phone? I'm not in front of my computer, so I can't
Nope.
see. Okay,
But
well, I need
we can
to talk to him
attempt.
about release tools, because there's apparently some secret knowledge with how to use it that I don't have. And so I wanted to find out what it is and then update the docs to include the secret knowledge so that I can get release tools to work right.
What is the secret knowledge? Or what is the issue you're running into?
The issue is if you take the latest version of release tools, it doesn't work. But if you take an older version, it does work. And
what's the error?
When I follow what the README and release tools says, and I just clone the sub repo into my project and then attempt to use it, and then I run make, like it attempts to create directories in the root of my file system, and of course that fails because I'm not running as root. And so like something is very broken if you just follow what the README says and then run make. So I worked around it by going back to an older version of what's in that tree. And I'm sure that there's just some secret step that I needed to follow that I missed. And then when I find out what that is, I'll put it in the README and then be in better shape. But,
I mean, if you have like the error, like it might be good to just you know, open an issue and put your error in it. That might help. And I guess the other thing is, you know, try comparing to the release tools in the other repos, because I think for like all the other sidecars, we have already updated them to the latest.
Not the latest. So that was what I was doing, is I was comparing what was in the sidecars, and I ended up copying what external provisioner had, and that worked fine, but it wasn't the latest at the time. So
and maybe the latest one broke something, then probably you should really open an issue. So I thought
so issues against the CSI release tools repo.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that as well. But yeah,
I initially thought you might run into this weird issue that I run into, which is like, I think there was a, like how you set remote. I think it's tricky because when I was trying to update those, and it does not work if I just set the remote the way I did.
There's
something there.
Yeah, there's this sort of new way to like, originally when it imported every single commit, but that like ended up mudding up the commit history quite a bit. And so we moved to a model where now you can squash all of the changes. But I think there's this sort of half documented script that only works in Patrick's environment to actually actually do that.
Yeah, I found that I can't really set the remote to something else. It just has to be, you just check it out that way. You don't set that to anything.
So let me just ping you the issue, but like basically Patrick put his script in this issue, but like we haven't had time to actually go through and make the script actually like usable on other people's environments.
Yeah, I think I gave that issue to Ben yesterday.
Okay.
I'm sure that I'm hitting something of that flavor, and so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that what's in the repo is accurate. And so if there's a secret command, I just want to update the README to include that.
In your case, it's actually not running that script, but it's like make time. So maybe that's a different problem, because I never have a problem make.
Well, all I know is that when I tried what was in the README, it didn't work, and when I copy paste what was in external provisioner, it worked fine.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I think you're supposed to run those commands, not just copying.
Well,
those.
I mean, the script that Patrick has, that's only about like how the commits show up when you merge it. It doesn't actually impact the content that you import. So maybe Ben is actually hitting like a problem with, it sounds like Ben is hitting a problem with the content, not so much the way we organize the commits.
Or there's some dependency on something that's undocumented, and I didn't satisfy that dependency, and that's why it's blowing up.
I mean, it does require that you structure the make file and the Docker file specifically. like the make file and the Docker file should be in under the command directory of the binary that you want to build.
I think I did that. I think I did that because yeah, that part does work fine. But yeah, I mean, we don't need to debug it here. I just wanted to mention that yeah, I think
you probably
I need to talk to
you said
Patrick about how to
you
do
said
it.
you just follow the instructions on these tools, right? So maybe that's
Yeah.
probably not the not whatever that's in this issue. This issue is something else. So yeah, you probably want to ask him.
Anyway, yeah, I would open a bug and put your error in there, and we can ping Patrick on it or see if
Okay,
we can take a
that
look.
sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Moving on, volume expansion. Is Hamant here? No. So I took a look at the PR that he had for using the annotation, like marking the previous PV size on the annotation. I mostly had a couple of questions about our plans for this annotation because it's marked as alpha, and whether or not we actually plan on moving it to beta or GA. Is this going to be a long-term fix? If it's not going to be a long-term fix, how are we actually going to get rid of it eventually and replace it? So I had some questions like that. I pinged him on offline and we'll probably follow up there. But I think other than that, so I think I guess the main thing is that there's one PR pending in the resizer to support this new annotation. So I think I want to get that resolved first before we cut a release. I'll go
I
ahead
have a question. The Saad lost
yeah.
track. Is this the issue that opened by Yang a while ago? Basically, when you create volume from, is it the one?
No, this is the issue that you opened up.
Oh, that one. Okay,
ago.
I see. I thought this is already fixed. It's not fixed. I thought it's already merged. We still have something.
There was a change. So I think the solution at that time was to add an annotation on the PV object to like mark the previous size.
Okay.
Right. And so that change was made in Kubernetes, but also a change has to be made in the resizer as well.
Still not yet. Okay, I see.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, I just had some more general, like higher level concerns about the solution. So I wanted
how do we label this as is this an annotation? How do we label that as an alpha? Just like we are.
It's an alpha annotation, but like really,
do we like any like a tag or is there something says this is the alpha or just we say this is alpha?
The actual key says alpha in it, but like I think the problem is that's sort of a practice that we kind of stopped doing a long time ago. And we actually even said, if there's an annotation, no matter what we call it, it's considered like part of the API. So, yeah.
I think that applies only to beta annotation and GA annotations, but alphas are always special. But anyway, I remember this question with Hamant, but I don't remember the conclusion. I think it was just temporary annotation, but I'm not sure. I would have to look into the history.
Okay. Yeah, like I just kind of want to know what is our future plan. Like if this is only a temporary thing, then what is the proper fix? And the plan for removing this temporary one.
Is the formal plan just to this annotation will graduate or something, or is there something else?
Yeah, so that's I want to
but annotation
sync up with Hamant on that.
Just like we remove the alpha tag, but it's still annotation when we GA, right? Or Are we actually talking about moving this to someplace?
I'm actually wondering, is this solution going to be the long-term solution, or is the long-term solution going to be completely different?
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
Ask him. Okay.
I'll sync up with him on that. Yeah. So that's expansion. Then we have volume health.
Yeah, so Waterhouse is the same thing. I'm just waiting for someone to submit this PR to update the Go mod. If
Okay.
anything, I will do it. So yeah.
At least from a feature point of view, it's done. Is that right?
It's done. Yeah, I'm just updating. I
Okay.
also submitted the PR for the. I also submitted the change log and the update the README. So right now I marked it as work in progress because I'm waiting for the. I think when we change it Go mod, then the dependencies probably will need to change. So the the change log probably will change as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Going back to just our releasing sidecar status. Does anyone have any updates on the sidecars?
I think I've already updated on Snapshotter and boarding house.
I updated the attacher, and it ended up as updating the release tools to filter out Kubernetes dependencies that are not used. And Patrick is not against, so I hope it gets merged soon.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I had tested it just on my own, my workspace, and I just removed all of those replace statements and did go mod vendor go mod tidy, and it built. So I think it should be fine.
Yeah, it's okay, but just I use Patrick's script to update to rebase the Kubernetes actually. So this script needs to be updated too.
Okay, so is this something that we should do for other repos? I'm not aware of that.
Yeah. So basically, if you in your Go mod, you don't have anything that pulls in kates.io/Kubernetes, then you actually don't need like the 20 replace statements underneath.
Okay. So is there a script somewhere that I can give a try?
Well, we have a script that adds those dependencies that you don't want. So I am fixing it to add only the really needed dependencies. Okay. And it's in the, I think in the release tools.
Okay, so should we like get that change when that is there, or what do we,
Well, it depends. If you use it to rebase Kubernetes, if you don't, then you don't need to worry about this script at all.
Well, because right now we also have, well, I guess it's not that critical to change it now, but if you have this, maybe it's good actually to get it. Because right now we do have all of those, replace, all of this. I think it seems unnecessary.
Yeah.
In Go mod.
I know like attacher and resizer don't have any Kubernetes dependencies. I think provisioner still has one thing that it's pulling in, and so provisioner still has all of these replace statements, but I want to get rid of that at some point. I don't know about Snapshotter, if Snapshotter pulls in
Snapshotter has,
from
yeah, Snapshotter has it. He has
if Snap
dependency. Boarding house may not. I need to check, but Snapshot I know it has all those replace stuff, long list of those. So I tried to get rid of it once and couldn't. So maybe if you have a way.
Yeah, if the main way of getting rid of that is to get rid of the dependency on kates.io/Kubernetes. If you can get rid of that, then you shouldn't need all of these replace statements.
Okay, you have a PR for me to take a look, or is it I'm not quite sure what. Or we can, we can check. We can talk about this offline too. I mean, if you want to take.
Like I can, sure, I can show you like the provision. I'll just show you an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So like in the provisioner, where's Go mod? So the provisioner has this.
We have this one
line.
too. I have
You
this
see
one
that?
in.
Yeah. When I search for this, whatever is using this, I'm getting, the only hit I'm getting is like this test.
Okay.
I'm getting this test code, and it looks like it's what is this, helper? It's just pulling in this deep equal, which I'm pretty sure we can,
do it ourselves, basically.
There's probably a different, I'm pretty sure there's a deep equal in the API machinery repo that we can use instead of the one in core Kubernetes. And if we can get rid of this, I think we can clean up like all of that, all of those replace statements. But yeah, it seems like, the whatever, like, yeah, I think we can easily fix this one. But yeah, we have to look at like for the snapshotter, what the snapshotter might be depending on, and see how easy it is to remove those.
Sure, I'll take a look and see. Yeah.
All right. From the provisioner side, is Chris here? Okay. Chris already released the patch releases on older versions, so I think it's 2.1.2 maybe have been released. The new this release is minor. I think is still pending. Actually, there's like a flaky test from the capacity that is flaky, and so I think we're just pinging Patrick to see, is it actually a test issue or could it actually indicate a code issue before we actually release this. I think once that's resolved, then the provisioner is ready for releasing. All right. And then I guess, Jing, since you're here, do you have an update on the CSI proxy GA stuff?
Yes, sure. So I think in the CSI Windows meeting, we discussed the remaining issue, and right now, all of them kind of resolved. But I do like there is a bug introduced by one of my recent PR, so I'm right now fixing it. So the plan is we want to kind of cut RC release so that for all the drivers which are using the CSI proxy to test the V1 API, there's really no API change from beta to V1, just mostly kind of internal details implementation changes. But we want to make sure all the drivers who are using CSI proxy can test with this RC release. And as Michelle suggests, like we can have like if anyone interested, we can use the CSI Windows meeting or the other like this CSI meeting to have a final scan of all the APIs before we release the final kind of GA.
Okay. Yes, sounds good. I guess in the API review meeting, if you can include me, that'd be good.
Yes.
I think, I don't know if Jan, you might be interested as an API reviewer.
Yeah, I'd like to join the meeting as well.
Okay.
Oh, sure. So right now the CSI Windows meeting is Monday 3 p.m. But it might not be able to fit everyone's schedule. Let me know, like if what time is good for you so that I can set it up, or we can use this CSI, one of this CSI meeting to review the API.
I think the Windows meeting sounds fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Works for me.
So tomorrow I think tomorrow there is SIG storage meeting. I will bring it up and let everyone know what's our plan, like the final API review meeting and what time. And yeah, so anyone who interested can join.
I think the SIG storage meeting is the following week.
Sorry, can I say that again?
Oh, this week we don't have a SIG storage meeting.
Oh, okay.
I would maybe just send an email to SIG storage saying
Okay.
that, you know,
Sure.
this is planned for the next SIG Windows meeting.
Okay, sounds good. And I can also post on Slack.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
By
the way,
do we
you-
have any? Oh yeah.
So I know you've been asking about this CSI artifact, proxy artifact. I pinged. What's his
Aaron?
right. I feel like he is not available recently, so I pinged him Slack and then later on the internal Hangout. He's not responding. He's most of the time his status is away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try to find someone else that can help us then.
Yeah. So the SIG release, they also have a meeting. I remember last time I checked today, or I can, in case I can join that, just to bring it up in general, like artifact, how to promote these from staging.
Yeah. Yeah, I think either SIG release or the work group Kate's Infra, they would be one of the good places to attend and ask about this.
Yeah, if you think someone else might also can help answer this, you let me know.
Yeah, I think if Aaron is busy, let's find someone else and I can help with that.
Sure.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other topics that anyone wants to discuss? All right, then we will end for today. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.